welcome to the show. We are almost to a brand new school year, and I am so excited. And I'm excited to have you back with another fantastic guest on the Mastering Social Media for Schools podcast. This week, we are talking to Kimberly Garcia. She's out of the San Antonio Independent School District Foundation. Now, whether you are part of a foundation, you do some fundraising, or you're a school district, you're going to get a ton out of this episode. Kimberly is a product of her school district. She went all through elementary, middle school, high school, went on to get a degree in PR, and then came back, started as a family liaison, and now she's doing some work with the foundation and their social media efforts. She's going to talk you through the channels they're using, how often they post, what type of audience they typically reach. And then she's really going to dive deep on a new term called circle of storytelling. You're going to find out the origin of what she termed that from. And it's really, if you are struggling with time, which that's mostly the biggest concern from social media managers. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. Then listen in because Kimberly has so many tips. We're also going to talk about her newsletter that she does, and we've got some great links in the show notes just to showcase their monthly newsletter, what they're sharing there, and some of the great stories and the interaction. And of course, you don't want to miss her quick tip at the end, her best social media tip. Always great insight there. So before we get to this week's K-12 PR tip, I just want to remind you there's a book called Social Media for Schools. And guess who wrote it? I did. I did with the help of so many people across the country of what they're doing with social media for K-12 schools. You can grab your copy today out on Amazon or wherever, kind of books are sold. And it comes with a workbook, you guys. So not only reading it, but taking action and really improving your social media efforts. Because guess what? It can help you attract and retain students and staff. And if that is on your priority list, this book is for you. Now let's get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip. It's back to school season, so it's time to start brainstorming about how you are going to celebrate this back to school season and your first day of school. So we've got a really handy dandy resource that we just published last year, and it's called 20 Social Media Ideas for the First Day of School and Back to School Season. We're talking staff welcoming kids back. We're talking about sharing great photos, just ideas of what kind of photos do really well on social media, greeting kids off of the bus and big hugs and all of that. It can be a little bit overwhelming. And this tip sheet, this little blog has 20 ideas. You don't have to do them all, of course not, right? You just want to pick a few and just be able to have a strategy going in. And one of the biggest things that you can do as you prepare for this back to school season is make sure that your staff is really excited about being part of celebrating your school in all the big ways and how easy it is to get content to you to be able to share out on social media. So I sure hope that you are meeting with your staff, reminding them how their storytelling matters. We have so many great tools in my membership group that are available, but they're only available to members. So if you're considering, wanting an extra resource, these podcasts are great, but gosh, you wish you had that template or that slide deck to be able to share. Why don't you check out our membership group? It's such a low investment for up to 3 people from your school, and you can learn more. But I will have that little blog article on back to school and the back to school season and the first day. That blog is going to be in the show notes. So check that out. And now let's lean in to this week's episode with Kimberly Garcia. Welcome to the podcast, Kimberly Garcia. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we got another Texas friend in the house, but you have a little bit different role. So I'd love for you to start out by sharing your background and then your role as digital marketing coordinator at the foundation you're with. So give us the scoop.
Yeah, so I've been in my role for about 2 years now. I started off in the school district as a family liaison, actually. So there I got to do a lot of event planning, a lot of graphic design work. And then I found myself wanting something different. So I ended up at the foundation of the school district, which is SAISD Foundation. And there I do a lot of the social media, newsletter, and I work on the website as well as helping out with events through graphic design. So all the signage, all that stuff is things that land on my plate.
Okay. And tell me, what does SAISD stand for? Is that San Antonio, right?
Yeah, San Antonio ISD.
How big is that school district? Do you know?
We have 75 campuses, and I believe it's about 42 to 44,000 students.
Okay, that's a lot of students. You know my story with, 300 students K through 12, so 42,000 is a lot. Tell me a little bit about your background. I'm interested to see that you started off as a family liaison. So did you get a degree or tech degree in anything that kind of landed you in that role?
Yeah, so I am a product of the district. I'm very proud of that. I went to Maverick Elementary, Rhodes Middle School, and Travis Early College High School. So I graduated high school with an associate's degree and ended up at Texas State University, where I got my degree in public relations communications. And I finished up there in 2 years. So I graduated when I was 19 years old and I hit the job market in Austin. I was actually an editor for a travel tech company, which was really left field. And I was there for about a year and a half. But there I did a lot of copywriting, copy editing, graphic design, of course, and I did do some social media. So that was really interesting.
That's so cool and such a great story that you came up through the school district. Now, so you got an associate's degree by the time you graduated high school. And what was that associate's degree in?
That was just a liberal arts
Okay.
general studies.
All right. And so then you got a lot of your generals and all of that. And so you were able to complete a 2 year, only 2 years to get your 4 year degree in public relations. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Oh, this is so cool. So now that you are at the foundation, how does social media fit into your role? What channels do you run? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's a big part of my role. I run the Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and the LinkedIn. We are not on Twitter anymore,
Okay.
but those three are the big ones that I run. I would also do it in collaboration with my supervisor, Carrie Smith. She's our alumni and community engagement manager. So she helps me with making sure that we have our alumni stories highlighted. So for example, we have our annual Athletic Hall of Fame where we do, where we do kind of like storytelling on each of the honorees. So
Yeah.
she'll help with those posts.
Okay.
And we really do work together, especially for LinkedIn.
Okay.
We have some good content coming out
Well, I
continuously.
can imagine for the foundation, LinkedIn is a great place to be connected with your alumni, and you have so many alumni because you're such a big school district. Um, so that's incredible, and those stories. I've seen some of your content. It looks like it's pretty engaging, and it makes sense. Now, some of my listeners, it might not make sense to have a separate foundation page, but in bigger districts, it certainly does. And so, what's kind of your cadence to posting? Like, what's your goal as far as how often to post and things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on LinkedIn, we try to post at least 1 to 2 times a week.
Okay.
Um, this month, for example, we had a lot of anniversaries. So we're posting those, and that's taking up quite a few of our posts. So just trying to make sure that we mix it in with some storytelling from our recent grant deliveries is important for the content to
Mhm.
mix it up. On Facebook, we try to post 3 to 4 times a week. And then Instagram is 2 to 3 times a week, just because not everything that we post on Facebook is for Instagram, of course. We do have similar audiences on both platforms, which I think is really interesting. Of course, we get more engagement from the youth, younger kids, whenever we post about scholarship stories. Those posts, they always perform higher, but it's still interesting to see that the majority of our audience follow is around the same age group, which is that 24 to 45 age range for each platform.
Okay. That's interesting. I love that you're diving into some of the analytics and people are
Yeah.
really they're really gonna enjoy also just kind of some of your goals as far as how often you aim to to post. How do you connect with the school district? Do you coordinate it all in what you post there? Do you share some stuff that they can share on their district page and vice versa, or are you guys pretty independent?
No, we work really closely together. We actually have a bi-monthly social media meeting.
Okay.
So I do attend those at central office. We're not housed at central office. We're housed at a school right now.
Okay.
But um yeah, we do a lot of collaboration posts. One thing that's coming up that we'll collaborate on is our dorm room drive, which is a pretty unique event. What we do is we collect items for students who are going to college and we give them away. So it's bedding, it's laundry soap, laundry basket, shower caddy, anything you can think of that is essential to getting started. It's really buying a whole new room, and it's a big burden for our family. So it's an event that's really popular, and a lot of people ask about it. But in order to make sure that it's successful, we have to have the community buy-in in order to get some donations. So we'll definitely collaborate with the district for them to share it onto their platform. For context, they have about 44,000 followers on their Facebook. We just hit five. So
Okay.
a little bit of a size difference.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean,
Right.
but it'll obviously continue to grow. So you've been in your role with the foundation for how long?
About 2 years.
2 years. And then before, okay, so 5,000 followers on Facebook. Okay, just taking a few notes. So I love that. I think when we were chatting, you talked a little bit about a term that you use for storytelling. So I'd love for you to kind of talk through that concept and then how you approach like repurposing content for the variety of not only social media channels, but maybe other ways that you communicate. Because I know social media is a big part of your job, but it's not your only part. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the concept is the circle of storytelling. I'm going to pay homage to Lion King, Circle of Life. That's where it came from. But I came up with that concept because I found that a lot of the stories that we were telling were applicable to different audiences. And we know that there are different audiences on different platforms. So the big one, obviously, is for our Facebook page and for social. But we had a lot of good stories coming out from our newsletter. They were just longer. And so what I thought was it would be great if we could share some of these with our Facebook friends, because they're different people. And so that's what we just started doing. So what I'll do is I'll pick a few stories from the newsletter and share them on the Facebook. And it's a good plug for the newsletter too. We have about 20,000 people on our newsletter. So 5,000 on Facebook, it's a little bit, I mean, it's smaller, but it's more targeted.
Yeah, and shareable, like, because now all of a sudden, newsletter is great, but not a lot of people forward a newsletter. Lots of people share content out on social media.
Right.
I got a question on your newsletter. How do you get people to subscribe to that newsletter? Is that like an opt-in that they can easily do? Is it a Google form, or do you have some kind of a system that they're able to sign up through?
Yeah, that's a great question. We use Bloomerang. So
Okay.
we send out our newsletter through Bloomerang as well.
Okay.
And so we do have a form on our website. We just added a pop-up. So when people come to our website, it'll pop up and ask them to subscribe. And then of course pushing through social occasionally is how we get them. We actually just added a question that says, "How did you hear about us?" And so social media is one of the answers on there, as well as word by mouth. We have a lot of people that have friends, especially in our alumni groups, that's how they'll find us and they'll subscribe to our newsletter through there. And then, of course, I would say first is word by word of mouth. Second is events. So
Okay.
the dorm room event, as kids were signing up to come to the dorm room event, they were signing up for our newsletter, which I thought was super interesting. And then lastly, social.
Okay. Um, all right. So you talked about having some of these longer form stories on your newsletter, but then also repurposing those into like a Facebook post. So how does that work? Like, are you sharing a summary of it and then they click to see more? Do you put do you put in the whole story there? Do you put a link in the comments? Because, they say Facebook, if you have the link in the post, maybe it doesn't reach as many people. What's your strategy there?
So it depends on the content. Um, I have my air on. Do you hear that? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Um, it depends on the content. I would say that most of the time it's more of a donate, depending on the story. If it's longer, we do use a blog on our website, so we might direct them there. Um, but I would say for the most part, stories, if it has a certain call to action in the newsletter, we'll use that same call to action on social.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I love it. And has the reaction to those stories been pretty good? Have they been pretty engaging on social?
Yeah, so one that comes to mind is one that we did about an alumni who did a scholarship 50 years after his graduation. So we did a highlight on him and his family, who he made the scholarship in honor of, and the student that he gave it to. And on the newsletter, we went really into who he was, the donor, and his family background. On social, we went more, it was half and half, I would say, half about the student, half about the donor. So it performed really well. We ended up boosting that post, which we boost posts depending on how well they're doing, obviously. Um, but that was one that really did well, and that one didn't have a call to action or anything, which I do recommend having some posts that don't have anything because I think our audiences are bombarded with things that we want them to do. So giving them a break is how I think of it.
Yep.
Uh, but that was one way that I recycled that content so that way it would see the light of day on social, and it did get a really great response.
Okay. So you mentioned a call to action. So what are some of the examples for the foundation that would be a call to action that you would use?
So donate is a big one.
Yeah.
Um, then of course learn more,
Yep.
subscribe to our newsletter. Those would be the top three.
Okay. Love it. And our listeners, I mean, some of them will be in foundations or a little bit different than a school district, but even
Yeah.
schools can ask for those things as well. Okay, back to your newsletter. I know this is the Mastering Social Media for Schools podcast, but we like to talk about a lot of things. How often do you send out your newsletter?
We send it out monthly.
Okay.
We
And
only
then
send one version.
what's that?
We only send one version. So
Okay.
that was something that I thought was super interesting that I learned at we have Texas Education Foundation Network here in Texas.
Okay.
A lot of people actually customize their newsletters for their like internal audiences, so like for their teachers and school staff, and then their community, which that's not something that we do, but I think it's interesting to point out that some foundations do that. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
But you send out one newsletter. Would you be willing, Kimberly, to give me an example of one of your recent newsletters just so people could take a look at what that looks like?
Yeah, so they're all posted on our website.
Oh,
Yeah, if you go to our website, SAISDfoundation.com, and then go to the newsroom, our past newsletters are there. And I can definitely share a direct link or however works
yeah,
best.
I can get everybody there. And listeners, you're going to get links to the website and to the social channels that Kimberly helps run. But we'll also in the notes give you a direct link so that you could check out some of these newsletters because I think that's a great idea. Yeah, circle of storytelling. I mean, everybody loves Lion King, so
Yeah,
why not reuse, repurpose? And I can imagine some of those stories end up maybe embedded on your website. And so there's different ways that you're using it even beyond the newsletter and social. Is
that's
that-
right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, Kimberly, time. Time is often one of the main reasons why school storytellers don't do more. So, they just don't have time. So, how can recycling content really help with that time crunch?
So it really helps with the time crunch. I am a big fan of AI,
Mhm.
which I'm not sure if that's the majority feel of it,
I
but
am a huge fan, so please dish. My listeners are going to love this.
yeah, so I love ChatGPT. Often what I'll do is I'll get the long story and I'll ask it to put it in as a social post, of course, evaluate it, make sure it sounds like us. But I would say that that is a huge time saver, especially for me, that I am being pulled into different things. Um, that's my number one tip is just use AI. It takes out a lot of the legwork that we just don't need to spend our time doing, and it makes a lot of sense to use it. Would you rather, rewrite a whole book or just buy a copy on Amazon? That's really how I think about it. So
Yeah.
I would say that using that AI tool is essential into saving time for storytelling and storytellers, so that way they have more time to go capture more stories.
Yeah, because you can't really automate the AI use of capturing the story. I've got a question for you. How do you capture all those stories? Because that is the majority of the work. With alumni and some of those things that you're capturing, these scholarships. So what's your approach there to get the meat of the story and pictures or videos that you need?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give a lot of credit to my team. Of course, Carrie Smith, again, she does send me a lot of stories through email and
Okay.
will recommend them for me to post. I also work with she's our data and impact manager, Anna Cardenas, and she evaluates all of the scholarships and all of the essays.
Okay.
So she'll pull out some good ones for me and help me share those stories. And then, of course, Mary Flanagan, who is our finance and programs manager, she does a lot of the grants. She'll tell me, like, hey, Kimberly, this is a really great one. And they submitted pictures, so I don't have to go on a goose chase. But yeah, I would say my team is the one that really helps me figure out which stories are the best.
Yeah. So it just sounds like you really have that culture of looking for those valuable stories. And obviously with a foundation, I mean, you are looking to do fundraising and making those connections. But I believe like listeners out there, it's the same when it comes to a school district channels. I mean, you're really trying to make those connections so that you can attract and retain staff and students that are going to your school. So it's worth it if everybody can kind of have their eyeballs out. And I'm betting, which is awesome, shout out to your team, but I'm betting it extends even beyond that because I bet you have some alumni that subscribe to your newsletter that'll be all of a sudden, hey, this is a great story that maybe you'd want to share. Is that the case?
That's sometimes the case. Again, they still do come through Carrie because they
Okay.
know her.
Okay.
Um, but yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Um, Any other success stories you have from your own on recycled content? You already gave a couple, but is there one more example just of being able, something that worked out really well on social media that was maybe a recycled story from somewhere else?
Yeah, so the teacher grants. We award this year we awarded 22 educator bright idea grants, and
Okay.
those are $5,000 each. And it was across 25 campuses, or did I get that right? 25
Um,
teachers across 22 campuses.
okay.
And so what we did is we started a blog post for the first few that went into detail on what the projects were, what the teachers said about them. And then for social media, we did individual posts. So that was one blog post, and we got about 3 social media posts from that. So that was one way that we were able to recycle content and make more content for our social platforms. That way we don't have to worry about getting more.
Yeah. I got a question for you on how you share these stories. Are most of them pictures, or do you do a combination of pictures and then sometimes creating videos or reels, or what's been your approach?
So I really like pictures. I do a lot of photos. Sometimes I'll do some graphics. I'll add little words or little arrows onto the pictures themselves. Videos we're playing with. We've had a few videos that do well. One that I'm thinking of is day in the life video that we did of volunteering with our Book Buddies bus. So our Book Buddies bus it's a bus that's been turned into a book like carrying thing, and kids can go on there and get up to 6 free books to take home.
Awesome.
So we obviously need a lot of volunteers to vet those books and load them onto that bus, so that way they're ready for school visits. And so Carrie did do a video on a day in the life of volunteering as that person. And it did okay on Reels. I think it got about 20 to 30 likes, which is high for a video for us. But really a lot of our pictures from our grant deliveries do much better. Well, in the neighborhood of like 60 to 70 likes on Instagram.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think, there's a time and a place for video. And if it works well, awesome. But in your case, where you're highlighting maybe a lot of like scholarships or alumni, it might be a little more challenging to get video. And photos do really well too. So you
Yeah.
don't have to have that aspect, incorporated. I love that idea of day in the life. So, we think of day in the life of a student or a day in the life of a staff member. But what about a day in the life of a volunteer or, some kind of a way that people are giving back that they could be like, hey, I could see myself doing that, right?
Right.
Oh, that's incredible. Um, well, as we kind of wrap up, what would you say is your best social media tip?
I would say trust your audience. Pay attention to what's really resonating with them and try to make more of that happen. If there are stories that are happening, so for example, with the Athletic Hall of Fame posts that we do, those are super long to me. They are like books. And I was really hesitant to post it at first, and it was something that I went back and forth a little bit with my supervisor on. But I decided to trust her and trust that she knew the audience longer than I had, and they do well every summer. So I would say that that is my biggest tip is even if read all the social media books, the best practices, know what works for your specific audience and do that.
Okay. So you're saying your alumni posts in the summer are a little bit longer in length as far as the article, and you post that
Correct.
whole thing on like a Facebook post?
Correct.
Okay, because that's a great question, Kimberly. That like, what's the ideal length? Like, it's got to be short. And my opinion always is like, dude, if they want to read it, they'll read it. If they
Right.
don't, they'll read the first few lines. They'll look at the picture. They still might like it. But why cheat them out of being able to get the whole story right there if you can, do it? And so I love that advice. That's really good. And yeah, you learn a lot. I mean, not all audiences are the same. And so if you can find out what really works for them and what they love, and it's summertime, we're getting ready for a new school year to start soon. Um, it's time to take a look at what worked last school year and then try to do more of that. And maybe there's some things that you spend a lot of time on that don't do real well. And so maybe you got to pivot a little bit. But that's a really great tip. Thank you so much.
Of
Uh,
course.
so as we wrap up, some people may want to reach out to you. So what's the best way to stay connected to you? Maybe your email or maybe you're on social somewhere. Where would you like people to connect with you?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So there's about a million Kimberly Garcias. But I am the one that is in San Antonio, Texas. So for that filter to work out.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, LinkedIn is the best place to find me.
Okay. And then is it okay in the show notes if I share your email?
Yeah, of course. My
Okay.
email is kgarcia10@saisd.net.
Okay. So you guys got that. Please reach out. We've had people connect with some of our podcast guests, and it's been really fun to watch the collaboration because you might have a specific question. So I really appreciate you taking time to share with us. You guys definitely want to follow the SISD Foundation page. A lot of great photos, great graphics that you're doing. I hope you and your team just keep it up, Kimberly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again. This is really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you nervous at all when we started?
A little bit, but
Okay.
that you're very good at making me feel comfortable. So thank you
I,
for that.
it's just like having a conversation, right? So, no, you did great. A lot of the guests are used to being the ones behind the camera, right? They're not the ones out in front, but this is going to be really helpful. And I know when we talked, that's why I was like, I got to have you on the podcast. So, thanks for taking time, and everybody, thanks for listening today. Keep it up. Try new things. Hopefully, if you apply any of what you learned today, let us know. You can always email me, Andrea at socialschoolforedu.com. I'm here to cheer you on. And until next week, you guys keep telling those stories. Bye, Kimberly.
Bye. Thank you.